Hello everybody, welcome to 50% of Booking. My name is Sabine. So today I will be filming what month is it? It's July. May. I will be filming the May wrap-up, and this month I've read 2 books because A Song of Ice and Fire book was involved, and you know how big those are. Those are monstrous. And so I read 2 books and 3 graphic novels and 2, I'm not sure if they're manga or graphic novels, and 1 manga. So let's get started! So the first book I read this month is Eleanor Park by Rainbow Rowell. And it's about this misfit couple, a girl named Eleanor and a guy named Park, and basically about their relationship and how quirky they are. Okay, the beginning of this book was fantastic. I really loved it when they weren't a couple yet. I don't think that counts as spoilers. And I don't know, it made me feel kind of nostalgic for I'm not sure what. And it was like a deja vu of an emotion. And I related to both Eleanor and to Park in different ways, which I really liked. I did not, however, like the romancy parts. It's not that it was bad, it's just that I don't like romancy parts in general, especially when they're sort of like, oh, I miss you even when I'm with you. That's just not my thing. It's not my thing. And I loved how human the characters were, how they had their flaws and they weren't your typical perfect couple. They weren't even the perfect imperfect couple. They were just human. And they acted on human decisions. I loved how sometimes Park would feel bad that he felt ashamed of Eleanor, and I loved how Eleanor would sometimes want to say something nice and she'd end up saying something not nice. Next, I read the Saga, first 3 volumes. This is not my first graphic novel. I love comics and graphic novels and the like, and to compare, this was pretty good. I think I gave this I gave the first one 5 stars, and then I gave the other 2 4 stars. And oh god, what I loved most about this series was the marriage between fantasy and sci-fi. When I first realized what was going on, I was sort of freaking out because that is such a badass concept, and the storyline is fantastic. The characters are fantastic, and Saga is about a war between 2 places. One place is like a sci-fi wonderland, and the other place is like a fantasy wonderland. I don't think wonderland describes that well, but whatever. And there are these 2 fugitives, a girl from a sci-fi place and a guy from the fantasy place, and they kind of fall in love. Well, that's why they become fugitives, because they fell in love. And they have a kid, and the kid is like half sci-fi, half fantasy. It's really cool. Marco and Alana kind of remind me of my mom and dad. Like, my mom loves sci-fi and my dad loves fantasy, and just, I don't know. I did feel that there was an unnecessary amount of cussing. Like, it's okay if there's cussing, but I don't think it was done well. But still, other than that, these were fantastic. Even the artwork was like really good. Check that out, man. Check that out. Next, I read the first manga I've ever read, which is Attack on Titan. And this one is about this city or this world where there are these things called titans, and they're these huge people that eat normal people. And they're like, I don't know, maybe 30 meters tall. Something like that. The concept was really cool, and okay, they're kind of like zombies, which freaked me out a little because I have a huge fear of zombies, but even then, this was really, really good. Like, it was executed really well. I'm not used to manga art style, so like, I started at the back, and then the first page at the back says, "Stop! You're reading this the wrong way." So, yeah. I also love how this manga, even though it's really short and you can finish this in like a day, they give you a better understanding of the world. Like, there are these parts where he tells you how the armor is constructed and how the gadgets are constructed, and I found that so cool, man. They even give you like the battle strategies and stuff like that. That was really cool, and I cannot wait to read volume 2. I'm not sure if these are mangas. I'm not sure if they're graphic novels. I'm just gonna call them graphic novels. I read the first 2 volumes in the Scott Pilgrim series, and I really love the movie. And the soundtrack, by the way, is fantastic. The graphic novels did not disappoint. They were almost exactly like the movie, even line by line. I remember reading it and I was imagining the movie in my head as it was going, and it was really great. And I also love the video game aspect and the comedy aspect, and it's about this guy, Scott Pilgrim, and he meets a girl named Ramona Flowers, and he kind of likes Ramona, but Ramona has 7 evil exes, sort of, and he has to defeat every single one of those 7 evil exes. So there you go. And finally, the last book I read this month that I had been reading the whole month, but I just do a few pages every day because it's huge, but I love it, is Storm of Swords by George R.R. Martin. This is the 3rd book in Song of Ice and Fire, and I won't tell you anything that happens here because, you know, spoilers. I will tell you, though, that this is by far the best book in the series, in my opinion. Like, from the first 2, this is the best one. So much death, though. So much death. The reason I feel the storyline isn't that big, like, if this were purely storyline, he could probably finish the book in, like, 1/4 of this. The reason that it's so huge is because he spends so much of the book talking about the scenery and talking about the lore and history and everything that happens in culture, and I love that because it makes the world so believable. It makes it so real. You feel like you're reading a history book and not a storybook, and that is just one of the best things that I love about the Song of Ice and Fire. Another thing that I love a lot about this series is how the characters are so real. It isn't a war between good and evil, it's a war between people. Sometimes they do good things, and sometimes they do bad things, but there's no team that's good and there's no team that's evil, because there will be teams that have characters that you love and characters that you hate, and every person has a different opinion on each character. Like, some people will love this character, some people won't love it, and I love that because it encourages you to think for yourself. It encourages you to formulate your own opinions and not just go with what is supposed to be the good side, and I love that about this. Okay, the next part, I will be talking spoilers, and if you don't want to be spoiled, I will be putting a photo somewhere on the screen, and you can unmute me when the photo is gone, okay? So, spoilers in 3, 2, 1. Oh my god! Oberyn! Why? Oberyn, I was like so sure he was gonna win the battle, and then like, oh my god. Okay, reading it, right? You thought he was gonna win. He was already on top of the freaking mountain and he was stabbing him. And then Oberyn! And Rob, my baby. Okay, I already knew Rob was gonna die, so it wasn't that bad. But when Ygritte died, I was not expecting that. I thought she would be around to like at least like the 5th book, and it actually physically hurt me when I read that part. Like, okay, I was reading, and at the end of the chapter, I got a stomach pain right when I read that part. I'm not joking. But the worst death was still Oberyn's death. I mean, come on. Oberyn Martell, Red Viper. At first I didn't like him, and then you just grow to love him as the story progresses. Also, I know a lot of people don't like Tywin, but I actually like him a lot. Like, I think he's one of my favorite characters that everybody loves to hate. But I legit like him because I think he's pretty badass. Also, Cersei, I don't like her, but I kind of get where she's coming from, you know, where she loves her children and how her father is pretty douchebaggy, even though I love him. Also, Sansa can be a bit annoying sometimes, and Joffrey's death, woohoo! Arya chapters were great. Davos is one of my favorite characters, but I really didn't enjoy his chapters. And Sansa is one of my least favorite point of views, but I really enjoyed her chapters. So, of course, Jon Snow chapters were fantastic. And oh, when Jon and Bran were in the same place and they didn't meet each other, why? They were so close. Okay, Game of Thrones spoilers finished. So those are all the books that I read this month. It was a pretty good month. And Game of Thrones was just fantastic. 5 out of 5 stars. So I will see you again soon. Bye!